Good morning, Sacred. Good morning, good morning. I hope everybody's having a great day today. We're just going to wait about 2 more minutes for some more people to join in. I hope you guys have your packets ready to go. The plan is we're going to wrap up week 2 today. Hopefully move on to week 3. While we wait for everybody, guys, make sure you've read this paragraph introduction to today's lesson. I'm going to wait about... Good morning, good morning. Welcome. We're waiting about 1 more minute for everybody to join. While you guys wait, can we make sure we've read this introduction to today's lesson? This introduction's going to be very important to how it all flows today. Good morning, good morning. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. I'm just going to wait about 20 more seconds and then we're going to dive right in. Hope y'all are having a great day. It's actually a little chilly this morning. Had to go grab a sweater. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started because I want to make sure we are using all of our 45 minutes effectively because, like I just explained, my hope today is we are going to wrap up week 2 and begin week 3. So today is going to be our last day working on credit cards and interest before we move on to something else. So as you guys can see, for your warm-up yesterday, I asked you to make sure that you read this introduction to our lesson and paid attention to the notes I took because this is going to provide very useful information for how the rest of the lesson is going to go. I'm going to take a quick second to briefly go through this just to make sure we're all on the same page, and then we are going to move on. Okay? So we're going to start right here. I'm just going to read through this quickly. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'll make sure to answer, okay? So, when John's car broke down, he needed it fixed quickly to be able to get to work. Every day, he commuted to a job that was inaccessible by bus or train. The auto mechanic told him the repairs on his car would cost around $250, but John did not have the money. For a fast loan, John turned to Quick Cash, a payday loan company. So I'm going to stop right here, and I hope you guys notice the difference. And the difference is, instead of talking about credit cards, now we're talking about a payday loan company. And we're going to look at the difference between if we had done this with a credit card versus if we had done this through a payday loan. Okay? So the payday loan company would lend him $250 for 2 weeks, but he needed to bring in a copy of his recent paycheck and a personal check. The check was made out to Quick Cash, and it was dated 2 weeks from then. the cost for the 2-week loan was $15 for every $100 that he borrowed. So this is going to be our interest rate. It's $15 for every $100 that was borrowed. Okay? This seemed like a lot to John, but the process was quick, and he really needed his car fixed or he could lose his job. And John remembered that the annual percentage rate on his credit card had been around 15%, so it didn't seem outrageous. John wrote a check for $287.50 to Quick Cash, due in 2 weeks, and immediately received $250 from them. He was off to work that afternoon. When 2 weeks rolled around, John did not have the $287.50. At Quick Cash, he paid down $150 and asked them to roll the remaining amount over for another 2 weeks. He wrote a new check for $158.13 to Quick Cash, due in 2 weeks. This was the remaining $137.50 plus the 2-week interest, again at $15 per every $100 borrowed. This was less than the original $287.50 he owed, so he felt like he was making progress. So that was a long paragraph with a lot of information in it. So down here, what I did was I broke up all the information found in this paragraph. So right here, next to this number 1, I described what happened the day John went into Quick Loans and took out his original loan. Okay? So as you see, his starting balance was $250. His interest rate was 15% every 2 weeks. And the reason we said it was 15% was because we did 15 divided by 100, which gave us 15%. So his interest rate was 15% every 2 weeks. So the amount due after 2 weeks, so his starting balance plus his interest equaled $287.50. So now, the first thing that should be sticking out to everybody here is that the past couple days, we've been calculating interest either yearly or monthly. Now, we're doing it weekly. Okay? So then, after 2 weeks, John realizes he does not have the total $287.50, so he makes a $150 payment. That leaves him with a balance of $137.50. He has the same interest rate of 15% every 2 weeks. Okay? So the amount due after 4 weeks, so the amount due from the time he took the loan to now, after making a $150 payment, is $158.13. Okay? So I know that was a lot of information. I'm going to pause. If you're clear, you understand, you're ready to go on, give me a thumbs up. If you need something explained, please type it in the comments, and I'll do my best to clarify it for you, okay? So if you're ready to go on, give me a thumbs up. Diana gave me a thumbs up. If you're ready to go on, give me that thumbs up. Sacred gave me a thumbs up. If you need any, Kayla, okay. So it looks like we're doing pretty good. That's good to know. Okay, so let's look at the math of this. So here we go. If John paid off the loan at the end of 4 weeks as described above, how much did he pay in interest? And then what is the percent of the original loan is this? Okay. So what this is asking me is John made a payment of $150. Okay. The next thing this is asking me is that if he pay off at the end, so I'm going to write if he paid it off after 4 weeks, he made an additional payment of $158.13. So, if John made one payment that was $150, and he also made another payoff of $158.13, okay? How much did he pay total? How would we find out how much he paid total? What would I do with these two numbers? If I'm looking for his total payment. How would I find his total payment? Very good, Diana. I would add them together. So if I had 150 and 158.13 together, I'm going to get 308.13. Good job, Kayla. I see that you also said add and sacred. Okay. Now, this is the total payment that John made. But the question is asking us, how much interest did he pay? So here's how we figure that out. Hold on, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, guys, I apologize about that. For some reason, my stuff's going off. So our total payment is $300.13. I need to find out how much interest he paid, and that's very simple. If this is how much I paid, and this is how much my original loan was for, I'm just going to subtract, and that's going to tell me how much John paid in interest, okay? So if I do simple subtraction, I'm going to get that. I'm going to bring down my 13 cents. 8 minus 0 is 8. 10 minus 5 is 5. Turn that into a 2. So $58.13 is the amount of interest. Okay, so that answers part one of the question. So the amount John paid in interest was $58.13. So then the next part of the question says, what percent of his original loan is this? Now, to find the percent of his original loan, I don't know if you guys remember this equation because we used it a while ago. We're going to use the equation. We're going to take his original amount, which was $250, and we're going to use this equation, okay? This is our percent markup that we're going to use to find out how much of our original we paid in interest, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my 250. 250 times 1 is 250. I'm going to distribute my 250 to my P, which gives me 250P equals 308.13. Okay? So now we're going to do inverse operations. I'm going to subtract 250 from both sides. Okay, these cancel each other out, and I'm left with 250p equals, let me get my calculator because I want to make sure I'm giving you correct answers. I'm going to do 308.13 minus 250, and that is going to leave me, like we said, with 58.13. Okay? And so then now we're going to continue our inverse operations, and to get P by itself, what am I going to do to both sides? I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to drop that in the comments. To get P by itself, what do we need to do now? Kayla says divide. Diana says divide. And Sacred says divide. Ladies, you are all correct. I am going to divide. Asia, oh, hi, Asia. Let me add you to our mile list, Asia, because you are correct as well. So you guys are all right. We are going to divide both sides by 250. Okay? And when I do that, I get that P equals 0.235. Now, it's asking us for a percent, and if you notice, this is not a percent. So what do I need to do to turn this into a percentage? Drop it in the comments. How do I turn 0.235 into a percent? Anybody know? Okay, so Kayla and Diana both gave an answer. Kayla said divide by 100, and Diana said move the decimal to the right. So, Kayla, you're close. I would multiply this by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So you're close, Kayla. Asia says move the decimal to the right, and then Sacred followed that up with 2 times to the right. You guys are also correct. Kayla, Kayla. Have confidence, because that's how we learn, okay? So, if I have, I'm going to write it up here because we're kind of running out of room. So if I need to turn this into a percentage, all I'm going to do is move my decimal place 2 places to the right, and that gives me 23.5%. Okay? So what this number means is that John paid $58.13 in interest, which was 23.5% of his original loan. Okay? So the amount of interest John paid was equal to pretty much 1/4 of the original amount he borrowed. All right. I'm going to pause because we kind of just did a lot in this step. Give me a thumbs up if we're ready to go on. If you have a question, drop it down in the comments. If you're ready to go on, give me a thumbs up. If you have a question, drop it in the comments. Asia's ready to go on. Diana's ready to go on. I need Sacred or Kayla to check in. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now, here's the question that should really get you guys thinking and understanding why people say payday loans are a bad thing. Okay? So, question 2 says, sometimes people take a payday loan and miss payments. If you took a $250 payday loan at 15% every 2 weeks, which is the same thing John did, but you were unable to make a payment for an entire year, what amount would you owe? Okay, so before we jump into any equation, the first thing I want to break down for you is that 1 year equals 52 weeks. Now, if interest is charged every 2 weeks, okay, if we charge interest 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, how many times a year would we charge interest? And to figure that out, we're simply going to do 52 divided by 2, which gives me 26. So in a full calendar year, if you never make a payment, you are going to compound interest 26 times. Okay? Now, think back to when we were doing interest monthly. Even if you were doing interest monthly, you still only did it 12 times. Now with a payday loan, you do it 26 times. So let's figure out, if you don't make payments for a year, how that affects your ending balance. Okay? So your starting balance is $250. We are going to multiply that by our interest, which is, remember, 1 plus 0.15 times and then we have an exponent right here, and this exponent represents our time frame, which is 26. Okay? So just quickly to review this equation with you, $250 was our starting balance. To find our interest, our compound interest, we do 1 plus our interest rate, which we knew is 15%. And then we do it to the power of our time limit. And our time limit was 26 because we did 52 divided by our every 2 weeks gave me 26. So now let's simplify. This becomes 250 times 1.15 to the 26th power. Order of operations tells me that I need to find 1.15 to the 26th power before I can move on. So I'm going to use a calculator. 0.15 1.15 to the 26th power. And this equals 37.86. Okay, so 1.15 to the 26th power gives me 37.86. Now to finish out my equation, I still have to do 250 times 37.86. 37.86. And when hold on. 250 times 37.86. All right, so when I do 250 times 37.86, we are left with $9,465. So just to remind you what this all means is if John took his payday loan for $250, he borrowed it at an interest rate of 15% every 2 weeks, and he never made a payment for an entire year. That means we would compound interest 26 times, which means at the end of that year, on a $250 loan, John would now owe $9,465. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me a thumbs up if you would pay this amount and you think this is a good thing, or give me a thumbs down if you think this is a bad thing and that John needs to make sure he makes a payment before the year. Thumbs up if you think this is a good idea, and give me a thumbs down if it's a bad idea. Kayla says it's a bad idea. Sacred says it's a bad idea. Very good, guys. So, Stuart, yes, no. So, this right here is often why people say payday loans are what are called predatory, which means they're taking advantage of people that need help, and they're kind of using what some people would say are unethical practices to kind of con them out of money. Because look, $250, that's your original loan going all the way up to $9,000? That's crazy. Okay. So now we come to this portion of our packet. I asked for your warm-up for you guys to make sure you went ahead and labeled your chart because we will be filling this in. Your x-axis represents the number of 2-week periods. Please be careful. This does not represent the number of weeks. So it's not like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This represents your number of 2-week periods. So 1 represents our first 2-week period. 2 represents our second 2-week period. And then our y-axis just represents our balance. So how much money they owe. All right? So, make a graph showing the amount due at the end of every 2 weeks period for about 6 months, which is 24 weeks. If you took a $250 loan and were unable to make any payments, what type of mathematical model is shown here? So, what this is saying is that if we borrow $250, we never make any payments back, what would our graph look like that shows our balance? Okay? So, we originally borrow $250. So that's going to go there. All right. At 2 weeks, goes up to about 300. And it goes up a little bit more. And then 3 goes up to about here. 2. Hold on, guys. I just want to check my graph because I did do this ahead of time. Okay. All right. So what I did is I went ahead and I calculated some points. So, for example, if y equals my balance times my interest for a 1 week period, I know that that's going to equal the $287.50 that we first talked about. Okay? Another thing I could do is I can just keep calculating but change my number of 2 week periods. So for example, I could do 250 times 1 plus 0.15 times 2. And that would tell me my value after my 2 week time period. So my value that would go here. Okay. If I change this to 3. So basically all I did to make my graph is I used this basic formula. I changed my exponent depending on my value from the x-axis, and then I plotted my points. And then what you should see is that you kind of get a graph that curves up, okay? It's not a perfect curve, but it's a curve. I'll put up a cleaned up version of this in our notes after class, okay? So if we plotted our graph, we used this equation, we would get kind of a curve. All right? So question number 4 says, write a function for the data you graphed above. All right? And I know our function is y equals 250 times 1 plus 0.15 times our value for w. Okay? And w represents our number of 2 week periods. All right? So plugging in my value for w, my different values for w will give me my different points on the graph. Okay, so let's keep going. What is the function? What is the domain of the function? What does it mean in the context of this problem? Okay, so the domain represents all the values for which our function is true. Okay? And in order for our function to be true, we have to consider our function and the variable that changes within our function. So the variable that's changing within our function is the number of weeks. Okay? So now, answer me this, yes or no, in the comments. Can you ever have a negative number of weeks? Can you ever say, I'm going to pay my interest back in negative 2 weeks? Yes or no? Kayla says no. Sacred says no. That's right. That makes no sense whatsoever. So what that means is, in order for our domain to be true, in order for our function to be true, w, which represents our number of 2 week periods, has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay? The reason it can be equal to 0 is because 0 represents our original loan amount. Okay? Because in theory, I can take a loan and pay it back that day. It rarely happens, but that could happen. So that's why it could be equal to 0. And the reason it's going to be greater than 0 is because as time passes, that value is going to keep going up. All right, so what does this mean in relationship to our problem? W represents the number of 2-week periods that the loan goes unpaid. Okay? Okay. So, number 6 says, what is the range of the function? And what does it mean in the context of this problem? Okay? So, we identified that our function is true when W is greater than or equal to 0. So, how does this connect to the range? So, pretty much what we're looking at is when W is greater than or equal to 0, what happens to our balance? Okay? So, the range of our function, we're going to say, is that y is greater than or equal to $250. And the reason we're saying that is because we originally borrowed $250. Hold on, I'll let you join in a second, okay? So, we originally borrowed $250. We make no payments, which means if we make no payments, this number is just steadily going to increase. Okay? So what does this mean in the context of our problem? Our unpaid balance our unpaid balance starts at $250 and increases assuming no payments are made. Okay? So, just to recap, up here, we made a graph of what would happen to our balance if we made no payments. Okay? And what we noticed is that it starts off down here and then kind of curves up. Okay? Also want you guys to make a note right here that this is an exponential function. And the reason I know it's an exponential function is because my changing variable which in this case is our amount of 2-week periods, is an exponent. And you can see that when you look over here at our equation, there's that exponent right there. Okay? All right. I know that was a lot, but just to keep reviewing, after we made our graph, we came up with the function of our graph. Our original balance times our interest to the power of our 2-week period. We discussed the domain, which is that W has to be greater than or equal to 0 because W represents the number of 2-week periods that a loan goes unpaid. You can never have negative weeks, so that's why it's got to be greater than or equal to 0. And then our range is that Y is going to be greater than or equal to 250 because 250 is the amount of money we borrow. And if we're making no payments, it's just going to keep going up. All right, I'm going to pause because that was a lot. If you guys are good to go on, give me a thumbs up. If you need me to review something, just drop it in the comments. So if you're good to go on, give me a thumbs up. If you need to review something, just drop it in the comments. All right, I see you, Kayla. Stuart's good to go. Sacred's good to go. Asia, are you still here? Sacred, you still here? Oh, Sacred, I see you. My bad. I'm sorry. All right. So, seems like we're good enough. So, let's move on to question number 7. Okay. Sometimes places like Quick Cash are called predatory lenders because of the high interest rate they charge. Some accuse places like Quick Cash of preying on those in need, while others say these places are meeting a need in the community. What do you think about this? Write a few sentences explaining your position. This question is going to be your homework for tonight. Okay? So after everything we just discussed, do you think that Quick Cash places are predatory, or do you think they're filling a need? And you're just going to write a quick explanation here. Okay? When you're done, like we always do, take a picture and send to me in a DM. Okay? I'm working to get our homework up on Canvas to see if that's an easier way to submit it. But just answer, take a picture, send it to me in a DM. Okay. So now we have a challenge problem. All right. Our challenge problem says, John paid $15 in interest per $100 borrowed for 2 weeks. This is 15%. What is the percentage as an APR? Okay. Remember, APR stands for annual percentage rate. Okay? So what they're asking us to do is, instead of looking at it every 2 weeks, we want to look at what would the interest rate be for the entire year. Okay? And here's how we're going to do that. Remember way back when we started talking about credit cards, the way we figured out the annual percentage rate was we did your interest rate divided by your number of whatever, your number of weeks, your number of months, your number of days, gives you your interest rate. Okay? So what we're going to do is, we know that our interest rate every 2 weeks is 15%. We need to find out our overall interest rate, our annual percentage rate, when we consider that our time frame per year is 26. Because remember, 52 divided by 2 is 26. That's where that 26 comes from. Okay? So what we're going to do is, we know that N equals 26. All right. So I'm going to do R over 26 equals 0.15. Now, I need to get R by itself. So how do I get R by itself? Drop it in the comments. Tell me what I need to do. What am I going to do? I need to get R by itself. Remember, inverse operations, I'm doing R divided by 26. So what's the inverse operation of division? What am I going to do? Multiply, Kayla, yes. Very good. I'm going to multiply both sides by what? What am I going to multiply both sides by? What are we dividing by on this side? Okay, so to help you guys out, there you go, Sacred, 26, yes, Kayla, 26. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 26. These are going to cancel each other out, and I'm left with R equals 3.9. Now, is this a percent? Is this our percent? think back to when we did this problem right here. Remember, we got our answer as a decimal, and then we had to do another step. So the same thing applies here. This is not our final percent. Very good, Sacred and Kayla. So what do I need to do to make this a percent? Think back, same thing we did back at this question. What do I need to do to make this a percent? Move the decimal, very good. So I'm going to do my 3.9. I'm going to move my decimal places 2 to the right, which means my interest rate, my APR, is 390%. Oh, Sacred, 2 to the right. Look at that. Very good. I'm so proud of you, ladies. Thank you. So what this means is that when you look at a payday loan, okay, it looks like 15% every 2 weeks isn't bad. Not bad at all. Okay? But when you look at that interest rate over an entire year, you're not paying 15%. You're actually paying 390%. Now, give me a thumbs up if you would ever take out a loan with an annual interest rate of 390%, or give me a thumbs down because you understand that this interest rate is just way too high. Thumbs up, you would take out this loan. Thumbs down, you would not. Kayla gave me a thumbs down. So thumbs down mean you would not take out a loan with this APR. Thumbs up means you would. Very good, Kayla. Very good, Asia. Very good, Sacred. Very good, very, very good, very good. So, I got some good news. The good news is we are finally done with our credit cards. Asia, that is way too high. So, just to give you guys like a little bit of a reference, if you take out a credit card, okay, like let's say you apply for a credit card and your credit is horrible, okay? If you take out a credit card, your APR for 1 year is typically around 29%, okay? That's on a credit card if you have bad credit, okay? Credit card versus a payday loan, okay? So, guys, I know you're going to get over... So I know you guys are going to get older. I know you're going to get to the point where you're thinking about credit cards and loans and things like that. But I hope what we did this last week sticks in your mind. Because if somebody ever comes to you with an APR of 390, you know to run the other way. Okay? But if you get a credit card and you see that your APR is more in the 20s, that's better. Okay? So, before we go, I'm going to ask a question. And you guys can put this in the comments, okay? After everything, thank you, Asia. Thank you for bringing it back to our lesson, okay? So, this is predatory, or this is what people say is bad. This is average for a credit card, okay? All right, so you can just type this in the comments. So, why do you think it is that when people buy a house, okay, or a car, they try to get an interest rate that's around 3 to 6%? Okay? So, I'm going to repeat it again. This is bad interest rate for a payday loan. This is your typical annual interest rate for a credit card, okay? Now, credit cards typically have a balance of about $5,000, okay? So why do you think it is that when people buy a house or a car, they aim to get an interest rate around 3 to 6%? Why? Think of how much you spend on a house or a car. Sacred, Sacred girl. High five through the Instagram. I don't know if you can do that, but high five through the Instagram. Very good, Sacred. So, just think of it. Let's say you buy a house that costs $250,000. That's a lot of money. So, compounding interest to this, that's going to be a big amount of money. So, that's why you would never take a 29% interest out on a $250,000 house. Okay? The more you're borrowing, the smaller of an interest rate you want to keep that payment down. So very, very good, Sacred. Very, very good. I'm so proud of you. Once again, high five through the Instagram. Very good, Sacred. Okay, so guys, that is our end of today. It is 10:43. So remember your homework. I need you to answer this question. Do you think payday loans are predatory or not? Take a picture, send it to me in a DM. And just like always, your exit ticket is going to be your 2 reflection questions right here. So your reflection questions are, what is one thing you learned or found interesting today? And what is one question that you still have? So I'm going to make a clarifying point. If you guys are answering your reflection questions with things like, I understand this, I don't have any questions, I didn't learn anything new, then I'm assuming you're an expert and that I should be able to give you a quiz and you get 100% right away. I understand that you might not have questions, but I know you guys definitely learned something new today. So I'm mostly looking to make sure you have an answer to this, because if you tell me you didn't learn anything new, or you didn't find anything interesting, then ladies and gentlemen, you're an expert, okay? Sacred, oh my God, thank you. So today's attendance word we'll say is water, okay? Thank you for reminding me. Sacred, let me drop this down. So if you guys, it is 10:45. If you don't have any more questions, please feel free to go. If you do, just go ahead, drop them in the comments. DM me your homework, your exit ticket, and your attendance code word, which is water. Okay? All right, guys. I will see you on Monday. Keep your eyes out for our warm-up for next Monday, because we are moving on to the week 3 packet. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Okay, please let me know if you need anything. I'm still going to hang around for about a minute so you can drop your questions in the comments, or you can drop your questions in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me via DM or email. Okay, guys? All right. All right, I'm going to hang around for a little bit longer in case you guys got questions. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and log off. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a DM, or you can send them to me in email. All right, guys, I will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.